a chicken over there. It looks like something like a big dog. It may be a Rougarou, I don't know.
Let's fucking do this.
My alcohol on the right side.
Woo! Hey everybody, welcome to Faded Folklore, the greatest show on the internet. I'm here, Travis Nelson, and I'm here with a cohort of mine, an amazing comedian, Chase, the Louisiana Slow Burn Myers.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Travis? How are you?
Oh, I am good because this is Faded Folklore, which means we've been drinking, bud.
Oh, man. I've taken some edibles.
Yes, you have.
I've smoked some blunts.
So have I.
Drank some whiskey.
We're not done yet either.
Drank a few beers. Can't wait to hear the story.
Yeah, so Faded Folklore, what we do is we get inebriated, and then I try to talk about folklore, mythology, monsters, and myths with my friends. And Chase happens to be from Louisiana originally, from Baton Rouge.
That's right.
Specifically Denham Springs.
Go Tigers.
Go Mike the Tigers.
Go Mike the Tigers.
One Tiger. We're rooting for him. But
the fifth?
Because the first two of these episodes I did on where I'm from,
mm-hmm.
and I did them from places in Grays Harbor, I thought it'd be fun to go to your state and to do an episode about something where you're from.
Yeah, man.
So
tell me a little something about myself.
This episode is on the Rougarou.
Hey, you think you're going to teach me about the
I'm
Rougarou?
about to teach you about the Rougarou, bro. I'm going to blow your brain wide open.
Dude, I've been looking for the Rougarou my whole life. I'm ready for this.
Chase, what is the Rougarou to you?
The Rougarou is a swamp creature of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not careful, and if you don't do your chores, it'll fuck you up at night. That's
The Rougarou will get you, right? If you keep behaving like that, right? So the Rougarou becomes a kind of boogeyman, kind of a threatening character. You know, if you keep misbehaving, the Rougarou is going to get you.
What does it do?
I don't know what it actually does. I know it's like
you just did your chores, so you never had to find out.
Yeah, I was always really scared of the threat. I never needed to see any execution. I just the thought of that there was a monster out there. With as far as monster names, like Rougarou really doesn't get thrown out there as much as it should.
It really doesn't, and I got fascinated with it because you have your own podcast called Buckets of Ducats.
That's right.
With Josh Watts,
mm-hmm.
and I kept hearing you guys reference the Rougarou. I've heard you make references to the Rougarou for a long time now.
Yes.
And I just never really looked into it. I just, that's their version of Bigfoot or whatever we have out here. Like we have Bigfoot, we have the Cowman and the Copalis, we have just a ton of serial killers in Washington for some reason.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and murderous union bosses, which we've been over with Billy Gold, the Ghoul of Grays Harbor. So now we're gonna get into the Rougarou. This episode is going to be about the Rougarou / the Beast of Gevaudan, which is something that happened in France in the 1700s that I'm going to try to tie together, and it probably doesn't actually tie together as well as I would like it to, but I'm going to try to in order to blow your goddamn mind, Chase.
I'm right, dude. I'm accepting of it.
I'm an entertainer first. I would say the Rougarou, probably the most famous mythological figure from Louisiana, other than maybe Gambit of the X-Men.
Gambit can't help but notice you saved him, Sheriff, and not Wolverine. Must be my way with women.
Don't flatter yourself, swamp boy.
I would say so.
That old swamp rat? Come on, Sheriff.
Come on now, Sherry.
So what's interesting about the Rougarou, and it's spelled a million different ways.
Yeah.
It's spelled, yeah. Anyways, you can find tales about it anywhere you find people speaking French, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know the story of Cajuns, how they moved from France to Canada, and then they were actually imprisoned and expelled from Canada in a mass, migration, and a bunch of them wound up down in Louisiana, right?
I do know that.
You do know that.
My family are Seminoles, which is one of those with crazy spelling type last names.
I'm not even going to try it.
And it's EAUX ending. And I'm very familiar with Cajun people.
Yeah. You've told me before you weren't raised Cajun, but a lot of your family.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. Like, once you start reaching out, there's always a cousin or an uncle or somebody that's got, the craziest accent you've ever heard and, was raised on a shrimp boat.
So, the reason why you see Rougarou spelled so many different ways is because it originally comes from the French Loups-garou, which means werewolf.
Yeah.
So, and even in Louisiana, some people call it the Loups-garou, some people call it the Rougarou, some people call the Loups-garou, like it's called a bunch of different things. But the reason why it's existed for so long, and it's kind of used as like a boogeyman figure, and that's why there's so many different stories about it, is people have kind of used it to fit their needs, whether it was like to scare the kids, or if it was more to like scare Catholics in general.
Yeah.
Which, those seem to be the two, is scare children and scare Catholics.
Yes, Catholics is also a majority of the state. So,
Yeah. It's most often described as a monster with a human body and the head of a dog or wolf.
Yep.
Is that what you remember?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not like full body, like werewolf, but like head of a dog or wolf.
Yeah, like pyramid painting. Dog wolf man.
Okay. Some strains of the Rougarou legend say that Rougarous will hunt down and kill Catholics who do not follow the rules of Lent. Which, that has to be a bitch.
Everything is revolved around Lent down there, bro.
Lent is such a funny, like, oh, can't break Lent or you'll turn into a werewolf. Like, oh no, I ate fish sticks and I said I wouldn't for 40 days and 40 nights.
You get attacked by a werewolf and you don't go to heaven. Like those two, like you've disappointed God. Like you gotta now confess that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research back, like in history, and this follows French Catholic werewolf stories. So that's where that came from, is French Catholics used to say that type of thing all the time, according to which breaking Lent 7 years in a row turns you into a werewolf. So I think that's where that came from. There's also, like, the Rougarou has kind of adopted a lot, since it's just kind of like this weird thing that has morphed through time. It's adopted a lot of different monsters. Like, we talked about the Wendigo earlier when we did that written up episode. And so parts of the Wendigo have gotten put in with the Rougarou in some areas. Vampire elements as well. So, like, there's a blood-sucking angle that says the Rougarou is under a spell for 101 days unless someone can cut it or somehow make it bleed, in which case it turns back into human and then they turn into the Rougarou.
Okay. So hold on, one more time. So the rules are, if you cut the Rougarou, you turn into the Rougarou?
Yes.
Man, that doesn't seem
like
a reward for slaying the beast.
Nobody wins with the Rougarou.
Man.
So, it's under a spell for 101 days, and after that, the curse is transferred from person to person when the Rougarou draws another person's blood. So it goes the other way, too. If the Rougarou draws someone's blood...
pass on the Rougarou?
That's how you get rid of it, is you pass it on to the next person.
It's the worst game of tag ever.
Yeah. During the day, the creature turns human, and they say it like looks sick, but it won't tell anyone because they're afraid that they're going to die because everyone's going to kill them because they're a Rougarou, right?
Okay.
So that's how it gets through. Other stories allege the Rougarou is a rabbit, or Rougarous can be made by witchcraft. So there's some that are like, only witches can make Rougarous, or witches can turn into Rougarous, and that's...
Now, I'll buy some witch stuff with it, but the rabbit thing, I don't know where that comes
from. The rabbit where you put your foot down?
Yeah, that doesn't seem right, but witches...
Little bunny hop? I don't think so.
Witches I expected to hear in this story. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, you'd think so. So back in France, Loups-garous, like werewolves, oddly, they were blamed for various crimes. Kind of like, I don't know, I guess like a goblin or a gnome or something. Like, oh, they'd be like, oh, we got the whatever goblins got our underwear, right? Like, that's how Loups-garous were. They were like, oh, someone stole all my tomatoes off my plant. This goddamn Loups-garous. That's kind of how they...
Can't find my keys. The Loups-garou got it.
And if you were acting strange, they accused you of being a Loups-garou, and public trials were held. Which,
whoa.
Can you imagine back in the day, just like, you just having a down day? You're like, man, I'm just not feeling like myself today. I think that beef stew I had yesterday gave me some intestinal. Someone's like, you're a Rougarou! You're like, oh no.
You gotta be ready to defend yourself at all times.
So usually, it's kind of like the Salem Witch trials where the public, like, they would hold the trial and be like, anyone think that this person isn't a goddamn werewolf, and everyone would be like, that's a werewolf if I ever saw
Hey,
one.
look, this is the first time I'm looking at him, and
Look, it takes one to know one, and I don't know one.
It seems like y'all wouldn't be doing all this if you wasn't a werewolf. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it just seems...
I know I'm not a werewolf, and I hadn't had this happen. So.
I would like to say one thing, which is I have never been a werewolf. I don't know about her. I don't know her thing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Andy, I'm so sorry. I don't know her. I don't know. She's probably a werewolf. We grew up together. I'm so sorry. It's said that you can protect yourself from the Rougarou by... This is ridiculous.
Nothing you can do.
Oh, you can. You protect yourself by laying 13 small objects by your door. And sometimes it's pennies, sometimes it's buttons, but it's...
I was about to say dealer's choice, just any 13?
Yeah, apparently 13 objects because...
At all times I have 13 objects on my floor, so...
Yeah, you're safe.
No problem.
Your whole bed is surrounded by so many objects.
Dude, I've been Rougarou proof for years.
Yeah, that's why you survive now.
Yeah.
Apparently Rougarous can't count past 12.
You dumb shits.
I don't know why they say that. It's something. I think it's something to do with like midnight, where like they only know how to count to like midnight and how many hours are back till daytime.
They don't do military time.
Yeah. There's some holes in that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. You dumb Rougarou.
Yeah. Also, that's the whole thing is like put some pennies or buttons out and they'll get stuck counting them and they'll lose track of time. That's what I was thinking.
I was just gonna throw 13 pennies at them at any time.
Yeah, and then they get distracted and then the sun comes up and they have to go turn into a human again. There's an annual Rougarou festival. I just want to see if you knew this.
I don't think I did actually.
Do you know Huma? H-O-U-M... Homa?
Homa.
You know Homa? There's a Rougarou festival in Homa.
H-O-U-M-A?
Mm-hmm.
Homa.
Homa.
Ain't that a motherfucker?
Bro, I'm from Hoquiam.
Yeah.
And the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans has a Rougarou exhibit. Did you seen that one?
I have seen, yeah.
Okay. And obviously, you know, the Pelicans were originally going to be called the Rougarous.
I actually didn't know the like the basketball that you talk about, like
yeah, I thought you told me that.
No, I mean when we were the Hornets, there were a bunch of names floated around, but I guess I didn't realize Rougarou had any like real steam. Damn,
I thought we talked about that. That's crazy. So there's also a bunch of legends saying it can shapeshift. It's a shapeshifter. Some say it can shapeshift into any animal in the swamp. Some people say it can shapeshift into anything. I was scrolling through like comments on these message boards, and there's a lot of people saying the same story, which is like, "Oh man, my cousin and her friends hit a dog or a calf, like it's some kind of animal.
Yeah.
It's usually dog or calf or something like that, and they hit it and they pulled over and went to go see if it was dead, and then they just saw like a man walking away, and they were like, Rougarou." That's all over the place, and it's so funny how many different people are like, yeah, this happened to my cousin.
Yeah, Louisiana has a lot of
cousins
and drinking and driving, and so we hit a lot of our cousins while we're driving. And
I thought I killed a calf. Was that you, Danny?
Yeah. There's a lot of not investigating things that run away from cars. That you just like, well, if it's not here, just keep on going.
So now I'm going to show you, this is a man wearing a Rougarou costume.
Highest car insurance in the country. Just want to say that. Okay, all right.
How much were you paying for car insurance?
I was paying $250 for liability.
I've had a ticket once or twice a year. Not anymore, but for a while I had like a 5 or 6 year span where I had a ticket once or twice a year, and I was paying $130, and I thought it was bullshit.
Yeah. No, dude. I was paying $250 a month for the longest time, and then when I moved here, changed all my stuff to Washington. It dropped to like 140 or something like that, and then eventually it came down to like the 70s and 80s.
That's cool.
Yeah,
at least it came down.
Oh, dude, yeah, fine. I mean, I just had to move across the country and leave my family, but man, it's nice to have that extra $200.
Worth it, right? It's totally worth it. So here's a photo of a man at the Rougarou Festival wearing a Rougarou costume.
Yeah, not the best.
What I'd like to highlight is this porta potty in the background.
Yeah.
And he's got some water here, so he's staying hydrated.
I forget what there's like the golden something. It's like a name of the porta potty people down there in Louisiana.
What? They have a name?
Yeah, there's like one company or something that's like really big.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You guys got just like a big porta potty company in the state.
Well, see, the thing is, we do so many parties that are just like outside, in the fields and stuff. So like porta potties, like that's where if you're trying to get in the business, that's like where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, look at this Rougarou festival. Look at this picture. Look at what's around. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna play you this news footage about the Rougarou.
Just discuss the phenomena in Cajun folklore known as the kushma, a nightmare that paralyzes you while you're sleeping.
Now we bring you another creature. One of the same legends that brought us the kushma, the Rougarou.
Yeah, that's right. Katie
don't
and I
say it that
sat
way,
and
you
talked to some
asshole.
local experts. We wanted to figure out just what Rougarou is.
Rougarou.
The Rougarou.
Rougarou.
And whatever form he takes in your head is the form he has.
Every family has their own version of the
Yeah, look at
Rougarou,
that scary
making it a
motherfucker.
nefarious figure that's as hard to pin
That
down
car.
as its origin.
The Rougarou comes to us from a variety of cultures that came to Louisiana. You know, people want to find a kind of origin for these things. They want there to be a clear narrative, and then all we have is pieces left in the contemporary moment. That's just not the case. Your family or your town has never had all those pieces. How could there have been an origin for that?
Despite no origin or clear picture of the Rougarou, one thing seems to be clear.
The Rougarous or
Just
the
showing
other
full
kind of-
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not here. He's not
Swamps are
here
scary,
either.
huh?
Not here either.
All of the stories told by those people seem to have a common thread.
The Rougarou will get you. Right?
Yeah.
If you keep behaving like that, right? So the Rougarou becomes a kind of boogeyman.
It's a threat. It's
threatening
like
character.
the number one
If you
parenting
keep
threat.
misbehaving-
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to die by
More
Rougarou.
than a tactic to get kids to behave, the legend of the Rougarou would have given our ancestors a chance to make sense of everything that goes bump in the night.
By having that fear be in a definite form, we have more control of it.
Whether that's a shapeshifter,
The Rougarou, back to the Loups-garou of French tradition, he looks more like a werewolf.
Or simply behaving badly.
This kind of wild character in the woods.
it gave a form to whatever terrified them at the edge of town or even the edge of their minds.
Why do we feel this need to scare ourselves? Why do we imagine?
Dude, what
why
do you
we
know,
need
bro?
these characters to be in the woods? And they're in the woods.
This dude's just been like, just
That's an
throwing.
expert.
He's just been throwing questions back at us.
Yeah. By the end of this, I'm going to explain to you the origin of the Rougarou.
Oh, we're getting there. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm doing my best. I think I can do it.
All right. And this is Cajun Justice. What is this?
Cajun Justice on A&E. Real life drama.
There are a lot of legends down
I think
here.
I've actually seen this. By the way, you say that
The
terrible.
one that we get the most calls from people saying that they've seen
Terrible.
would be the Rougarou.
Terrible?
You actually did say that one like an
That's
asshole.
something stirring up my chickens over there. Looks like something like a big dog. It may be a Rougarou, I don't know.
Yeah, it may be a
Stories
Rougarou.
that I heard about the Rougarou growing up. One was that it was a man that can turn into a wolf-like creature.
It's a swamp creature. It's a tall, hairy creature. Pretty much Bigfoot in the swamp.
Some people say he's like a werewolf
Swampfoot.
or full of moss, almost like a swamp thing.
It's like a swamp monster, something that's covered in grass and moss.
An Indian shapeshifter. That's about the best I understand of it now. I'm sure I'll keep learning as I go.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to teach you a little bit more.
My grandma told me that it was a werewolf.
The Indian
And, you know,
shapeshifter.
if there's a Rougarou out there, I'm gonna have to believe my grandma's right.
A couple weeks ago, somebody asked me, did I know what the Rougarou is? This is my first time ever hearing of the word. I don't even know.
That's where it came, right there.
There you are, right there.
Simple, man. Because the trail just ends.
You know, you hear them old stories about the old Rougarou and all that. I don't know if that was it.
I don't know,
Personally,
Jay.
the story was developed as a childhood story. Keep children inside the house.
I've never seen the Rougarou. We have Jacob, the closest thing we have.
I don't believe in the Rougarou.
Fuck you,
What's it
Jacob.
supposed to be? Kind of like a Bigfoot. I don't believe in Bigfoot. That's what it is. That's what they're claiming it is.
Actually, I saw him right back behind his house. No, I'm just kidding.
You're crazy. You're crazy, Jacob.
Okay, and the other thing that I did special for this episode, Chase,
Yeah.
is I commissioned an artist to draw photos of the Rougarou that would make you feel comfortable and at home.
Let's do this.
So the first one, that's just classic Rougarou.
I mean, that's Rugi himself.
Yeah, that's Rougarou in a swamp. Just regular, that's what they look like in their natural habitat. And the next one we have is Rougarou cheering for Drew Brees.
That's right, baby.
I commissioned this before he broke all his ribs and died.
Who dat?
It's Drew Brees, Rougarou. Also, we have Crawfish Rougarou.
That's right.
Getting some
Ain't no
crawfish on.
crawdads.
Yeah, crawfish boil. And then, ooh, we got a Mardi Gras Rougarou. we got a Rougarette
All
over
right.
here. Yeah, just exposing herself
Love
for
it.
some beads.
Love
But now that we're done talking about the Rougarou, I would like to tell you
Are we done?
where I think the Rougarou came from.
Okay.
So the Rougarou obviously is abundant in fringe culture, right? And if you track it back to France, so they had a lot of problem with wolves. There was a lot of like werewolf stories and stuff like that. But what it all kind of culminated in is this thing that they called the Beast of Gevaudan, which was an animal or animals responsible for terrorizing people in the I think it's called Margeride Mountains of South Central France, which is where the Acadians came from. And the Acadians moved to France and then became the Cajuns who lived in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. So they're actually from that region. And they this monster was active between 1764 and 1767.
Okay.
Do you know when America became a country?
1776.
You goddamn right it did. So you have to remember, as I'm telling you this, all this happened 10 years before the United States became a country.
Before the world started, I guess.
All right, that may not have been the right way to phrase it to you. The attacks...
Everything before America was nothing.
I'm going to let this point.
Yeah, good time. My grandfather, my stepdad's dad, they're Didiers, and their last name, Didier sounds like it should end in an A. It ends in IER. And he's like Cajun French and would speak French and stuff. And I remember he passed away when I was young, but he was the most like cartoony kind of like how you just played, like he was so fucking loud. Like every time I see him, he would go, "God damn boy, you been getting the money?" Like that's what he would say to me. "You been getting the money, the women, you been getting the money, the women." And he would just mumble money and women at me over and over again. "God damn boy." And that was like like he would say that over
I'm gonna do that to you
again.
from now on. Just every time I see him.
And yeah, like even later, like when he got older, he kind of like got sick and he couldn't speak as much, but he would still like do this at me.
Wait, he just did the money thing?
Yeah, he
or did he do the pussy thing?
Homer.
I'm sorry.
Homer did, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That man was a great man. Crazy Cajun man. Fought in like every war, from what I understand.
No shit?
Yeah, that's what my stepdad talks about.
It sounds like he still had a sense of humor too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The attacks of the Beast of Javadon spanned 56 by 50 miles, which is a lot of area, and descriptions from the period identify the beast as a wolf, a dog, or some kind of wolf-dog hybrid. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Back then, people didn't have a lot to reference. There weren't zoos or anything, so they didn't know what a lion looked like or a hyena looked like or anything else. So
they're all just various dogs.
Yeah, all their descriptions are basically like, "Have you seen a dog? Have you seen a wolf? It was on 4 legs." It was something like that, but the tail was crazy. Like that's basically what all of them said. Victims were often killed by having their throats torn out.
Oh, fuck. All right, Rougarou.
And I realized last time when we did one of these, you asked if the next time we could do one without any murder. And so far, this is the first murder of this one. Yeah. There's about to be a lot of murder.
Yeah. It's folklore.
I couldn't hold out. A 1987 study estimated there had been 610 attacks in total.
What?
Resulting in 500 deaths.
What was that study?
And 49 injuries. The beast was reported to be killed several times before the attacks finally stopped. So what that means is people kept thinking they killed it, and the attacks kept going. The first beast attacked in the summer of 1764. Mm-hmm. A young woman named Marie-Jeanne Vallet was tending cattle in the Mercoin forest in eastern Javadon, but the bulls in her herd protected her when the monster came, or the beast came. The bulls protected the herd kind of and like chased it off. But soon it had killed a 14-year-old girl nearby. And then 5 more attacks happened in 1764, and terror kind of gripped the region because people were like, "What is murdering us?" And reports said the beast only targeted the victim's head or neck regions, which is not what you want to hear when you're terrified.
Yeah, an efficient beast.
Which honestly makes me wonder if it was like more of a feline, because that's definitely what they say about like cougars and like, I don't know.
No, it's a dog, bro.
Dog?
It's a dog wolf.
People thought there must be a pair of beasts or a mother with children that could explain how many attacks were taking place. The victims were mostly young women and people traveling alone. Now this makes it tough because when you're talking about victims that are young women and people traveling alone, you unfortunately have to tie in like, okay, how many of these were just people who were being attacked and the attackers were getting away with it because they could just blame it on this mythological beast that was attacking everybody, right? But in January of 1765, a man named Jacques Portefeuille and 7 companions were attacked by the beast but managed to drive it away. So they had weapons, and this beast attacked them, and it was 7 like grown dudes. So they were able to kind of like fight it off and get it to go away. And Jacques wrote a letter to the king begging for help for the region. He was like, please, there's a monster, it's attacking us. We don't actually have that. I actually read through like an entire letter, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then I realized that like, it was like, this is what it might be like if we found the letter. And it made me so mad. What King Louis the 15th did. So King Louis the 15th was the one who was ruling at this time.
Okay. In 1764.
1764. Do you know anything? I mean, obviously, it's crazy to ask that. I had to learn about this today. I learned about these kings. So Louis the 15th served for 59 years as the king from 1715 to 1774. He was the second to last king of France.
Okay.
Before him was his father, who, by all accounts, was a badass, served 72 years, which is the longest anyone ever ruled France. His son was what we nowadays call a fail son. He served for 17 years and effectively ended the French monarchy. His son was actually married to Marie Antoinette, and they were both beheaded by guillotine in the French Revolution.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of in this middle area, and Louis XV is famous for this French phrase. You ever heard someone? You ever heard like "après noir deluge"?
No.
Après noir le deluge.
No.
It's it means after me comes the flood, or after us comes the flood, and that's like a famous quote by him from this era. And what he originally, they said it because they thought he was saying after me comes the revolution, but what he was literally saying was after me comes the flood, because he thought like a Noah's Ark type flood was coming soon because Halley's Comet was supposed to come back around, and there was a legend that Noah's Ark happened after Halley's Comet came around.
Okay.
So they're in this weird area of history where they're kind of ruling like they think there's not going to be a future. I don't know if you've ever experienced any kind of timeline like that, Chase.
I don't know.
I don't know if you've ever been raised somewhere where like the people in charge think the world's almost over. Okay. Well, anyways, they kind of credit him with ruling that way as towards like the downfall of the French monarchy, because people actually kind of liked him, and then his son, people totally hated. And that's...
Nobody likes the boss's son.
Yeah, yeah. King Louis XV gave this Jacques Portefeuille 300, I think it's pronounced livres? Livres? Whatever French money was. And whatever that was, livres, however you pronounce that, that was literally the French dollar, essentially, from like 700 to like 1700 and something.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good run. So he gave 300 to that guy, and he gave 350 to the guy's friends to kind of split amongst the other 6 friends. And then he educated that Jacques guy at the state's expense. So he basically paid for that guy to be educated and moved into the upper echelon of society, which is, you got to think, not what the guy was asking for when he sent him the message of like, could you please help us? People are poor, we're struggling, monsters are eating us. And he was like, how about we save you and your friends deal with the beast? But the king then sent dragoons after the beast, which is like just a military. Dragoons was like it was like a cavalry type infantry unit. So they sent dragoons after the beast, but they were unable to kill it despite allegedly almost killing the beast several times. Which is hard to tell whether the guy in charge was like, oh, we almost got it, dang it, we almost...
Yeah.
Like he kept blaming it on his, like, you know, basically his coworkers and saying like, oh, these guys can't get it together.
He's not being honest with himself.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. He says he took several shots at it and he couldn't hit it, but...
Horrible game plan, bro.
Yeah. The king then hired 2 professional wolf hunters.
What?
Yeah.
What a profession. What other jobs were they doing before the big Rougarou case came along?
No.
That was great. What were they working on?
Yeah, there were a lot of wolves in Europe, and there was a lot of like werewolf stuff. So these guys, I assume, were kind of like Van Helsing. And get ready for this name, dog. You ready for this name? First guy, Jean-Charles Marc Antoine Vaumessler de Deneville? And his... Yeah, so that was the first guy, Jean-Charles Marc Antoine Vaumessler Deneville, and his son, Jean-Francois. So Captain Dewamell, who was the dragoon captain that was in charge of the dragoons they sent down there, he got sent home, which had to infuriate him, because the hunters had him sent home because he would do these big sweeps across the countryside searching for wolves. And they were doing more of like an actual hunters kind of thing where they snuck around and like, you know, tracked it. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, this guy is like yelling and chasing things all over the place. Like, this is not helping us. So they sent this
starlet.
Yeah, they sent this captain home. Oh, actually, what happened with the Denevilles was they couldn't get it either.
Right.
Yeah. No, these 2 couldn't get it. They were replaced by the king's, this is a tough word, arquebus? I think it's called arquebus bearer. So an arquebus is like a musket. It's like an old-timey gun.
Okay.
And this guy was the arquebus bearer and lieutenant of the hunt of the king. So he must have just been a good shot because this was the king's dude. His name was Francois Antoine.
Yeah, so I told you, Francois.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't surprised when you said it was a common name. He killed a large gray wolf that was about 5 feet and 7 inches long, which is unusually large. The wolf was assumed to be the beast due to its size, and it had scars that they attributed to the victims trying to defend themselves against it. So then Francois hunted down the wolf's mate and the pups. He was trying to like kill whatever else, you know. Mm-hmm. I guess it was 2 wolves they found out, so he was trying to kill the mate and the puppies. And after he killed the mate and one of the pups, he checked, and the pups seemed to have a double set of dew claws, which is a hereditary mutation found in the Beauceron dog breed. So it's just a big French dog breed between 70 and like 110 pounds. So that's kind of fishy, where they're like, wait, was this animal bred with, you know, dogs in this region, basically?
We only know dogs.
Yeah, and one pup, they said, escaped after it was shot and wounded. And Francois returned to Paris. He received like 9,000 of the livres, or the dollars. Livroir. And he got fame, titles, and awards. But he was quoted as being worried that they didn't get the actual beast. Like he was like,
I think it's still there, guys.
Yeah, this guy was actually nervous that like one of the pups got away. He was like, I'm worried about that pup.
That pup's gonna grow up and fuck some stuff up.
So then it seemed like the attacks weren't over, actually, because on December 2nd of that year, 2 boys were attacked. The beast attacked and tried to drag his 6-year-old away, but his 12-year-old brother fought it off. Which, by the way, what a goddamn brother.
Dude, yeah.
Can you imagine a monster attacks and grabs your little brother and you jump on the like...
Dude, did you... I mean, listen to all the people you listed that tried to fight this monster before this 12-year-old. This is the first one
Who is
that's
this
had
12-year-old?
like a successful run at it.
So far, it's taken 7 men to drive this beast off.
Yeah.
But although...
This 12-year-old's like, you're not fucking with my brother.
I will mention, it's that they kind of allude to, they think it's the one pup that escaped that was attacking. So it might have been
that
younger.
pup's out there, I know.
So that pup might have just been younger version of the same beast that was easier for them to drive off.
Still.
Oh, I'm giving it to the 12-year-old.
I was about to say, I still feel like the ratio works out. It's a younger pup, but it's a younger person. So.
Mm-hmm. So soon, there was a dozen more attacks. The killing...
Also, big money in the rematch whenever they get older.
Yeah, for sure. So all of a sudden, there was another bunch of attacks. The killing marked the end of the attacks. So people kept killing different beasts and saying they killed the beast, but the one that actually finished everything was made by a hunter named Jean Chastel, who swore he shot the creature with a large caliber bullet and buckshot combination made with silver. So I'm kind of thinking this is where we get that part of the werewolf legend that silver can kill werewolves, is this dude was like, no, silver for some reason will do the trick. And that's what killed the final beast. The body was brought to the castle of Marquis d'Apcher, where it was stuffed, and the post-mortem report was transcribed by a notary named Marin, and it is called the Marin Report. So that's like the most famous piece of documentation on this whole thing, is the Marin Report. Talks about the beast that was finally killed. And the beast's stomach contained the remains of its last victim. So pretty sure that was the one. You know, it's the one that ended things. It definitely had people in it. That was it. And they lost, it was stuffed, but it's been lost over time. So we don't know. We have no idea. But there are several hypotheses, one of which is the hysteria of the monster in that time period. So I mentioned to you kind of the time period of those kings, right? So towards the end of Louis XV, he ruled till 1774. So he was ruling during this whole time. But towards the end, he wasn't very popular. He was pushing for more anti-Catholic type of laws and things like that. So he really wasn't popular with the Catholic Church. And he really wasn't popular with a lot of the citizens because they were starting to go through more famines and type stuff like that because they'd been going through a lot of wars. And then his son took over and essentially stayed the course. Like, people just started hating him because he was trying to help out the United States in the Revolutionary War. It was just a tumultuous time, so they kind of blamed all this on hysteria because wolf attacks were not uncommon. It was uncommon for one wolf to kill a lot of people. I think the wolf that had killed the most, one wolf killed like 4 people, and it was famous. And then this one killed 500.
Yeah, that's that Rougarou.
Yeah, is that goat? So they thought that. They definitely thought it was just wolves. A lot of people thought it was just wolves. One naturalist accused Jean Chastel of his red mastiff dog. They thought he bred his red mastiff dog with wolves, and they thought that the offspring was wearing boar armor, which is why they couldn't tell what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it said specifically young boar armor. I don't know what that must have been a thing back then. But it was a specific color, which made it hard to identify, apparently, and protected it against gunshots and other wounds.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah. So one naturalist...
So we got a theory.
Yeah, we got that theory. A lot of people nowadays actually think it was a spotted hyena, because people back then wouldn't have any idea what a hyena was. So a lot of people think just some rich guy bought... Because they didn't have zoos, but they had what was called menageries, where they would get animals from around the world and just put them in little pens to show off to their rich friends.
Okay.
So some people think it was just like a lion or a hyena that got loose.
Rich people have always been the same, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100% all the way through history. The Acadians moved to Canada in the early 1600s, so that would be long before this. But they were exiled to Louisiana and back to France, and what happened was a lot of them got sent back to France and then moved to Louisiana from France. A lot of this happened between 1755 and 1762. So that would have been exactly when all this was happening. And that would have been such a great time, especially with... You see a lot of mythology and folklore and monster stories popping up around times of like great unrest and uncertainty, and I can't imagine anything more unrestful or uncertainful than being kicked out of your country and having to go to Louisiana and make a home in the swamps.
Also, just like, yeah, what a good story to come in with too. Of like, hey, what's it like in France? Or like, let me tell you about the Rougarou.
The Beast of Gevaudan. I
tell you what, we got that down here too, boy.
Yeah. So I really do. I personally, there's not a lot of like evidence for this, but there's not a lot of evidence in general. But I personally think it was because the Acadians got moved out of Canada at the exact time when this Beast of Gevaudan thing was happening. That really highlighted it and allowed French-speaking people as a culture to latch onto this kind of werewolf creature that they could use as a general boogeyman of, like, if you're not a good enough Catholic and you don't keep your Lent and not masturbate for 40 days like you said you would, you're gonna turn into the Beast of Javadon kind of thing. Like, and the whole silver kills a werewolf like that. It all just
we'll take some of that.
It ties in so well, doesn't it?
We'll use that.
All right. Well, I tried. Anyways, thanks for watching this video on the Rougarou / the Beast of Javadon. You're ready to say the Rougarou is the Beast of Javadon.
I can never not call it the Rougarou. But
I mean, keep the name. The name, definite improvement.
Yes.
But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and make me famous, please. All right. Bye-bye. Did it blow your mind, though?
No, that was done.
The Rougarou. Dude, I've been freaking out about this. Here's also some ears like